Welcome to Reinventing Retirement, where we share real stories of people redefining what life looks like after 60. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy Passion, and today's episode is especially meaningful to me because I'm joined by someone I've known for over 50 years. She spent her career as an administrative assistant in a major hospital system, but what she's doing now in retirement is a beautiful example of creativity, courage, and reinvention. She's turned a lifelong love of crafting into a business and selling her work, and more importantly, teaching others along the way. Let's get started. I would like to introduce my dear friend, Sue Hines. Sue, thank you enough for being here today. This is so much fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is great. And I am just so impressed. I'm going to start out first by asking you, have you always crafted? I assume you have.
I think so, but when we're younger or married with children and working full time, there just isn't always a lot of time for that.
That's kind of what I figured, but I know that really, I mean, we'll get into everything here. We go back a long way. Now, you corrected me. I thought we met in fourth grade. We met in fifth grade because you moved to that side of town in fifth grade. Is that
So
right?
you went to Shady Lane?
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking you went to Leawood.
I wasn't allowed to. My mother taught there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We could have met. I think I started in fifth grade there. Yeah. So we very well could have met in fifth grade.
I mean, I don't remember much from my childhood, but I have a memory of us lined up in the hallway, waiting for class or something. And I just remember talking to you because you're just, even still, just the most vivacious, fun person. That laugh is just fabulous.
My memory or earliest memory, because again, like you, they're few and far between
Yeah.
that far back, was in junior high. You and I happened to have the same pair of slacks. That our moms probably bought from the Union.
Oh, yeah.
And we swapped clothes one day and we tricked your boyfriend. And I'm thinking it might have been your current husband.
It was, and I thought I did that with Kathy Paxton.
No, it was with me.
Oh my gosh, I think I did it with Kathy Paxton too.
So, yeah, we have
God.
known each other a long time. I've got pictures of slumber parties,
Oh.
building the
Oh
pyramids.
my gosh. I'll have
Lots
to
of
look
fun
at
times.
it
Yeah.
sometime because
Yep.
I really don't remember much. But now, what year did you get in your religion, like confirmed or?
Oh, yes, that was seventh grade.
Okay.
And you and Terry were my two best friends that I invited to my baptism.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh, the
yeah,
two Catholic girls.
yeah. Yes, I got pictures of that too. And what I love is we kind of recreated the three of us at our 45th high school reunion.
Oh, we'll do it again.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because next year's 50, people.
yeah.
If you can believe it. I mean, there's no way we look old enough. But oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, so fun. Yeah, I need to come over and just look through everything. I'll probably just sob through the whole thing. I hope you don't mind.
No, I love reminiscing. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so much fun. Okay. We promise to get into the podcast now. So this is funny. So you have always just been the hostess with the mostest, and the one who organized everything and just so vivacious and outgoing. What was I like?
I think you were the same
I
way.
think that's why we liked each other.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Yeah, I try to. Certainly not the hostess stuff, but I mean, where would we be without you organizing our cruises and that sort of thing these days? So that's fun. Um, how would you have described yourself in the early years?
You know, you and Terry have kind of made that same comment, and
Yeah.
I don't think of myself as outgoing, or vivacious or any of those. I kind of feel like I'm shy, except when I'm in a small group of people. Put me in a large group, and I just kind of want to be in the background. I feel like I don't always have a lot to contribute. So Small groups is probably where I shine
Oh, it's
and
funny.
have the most fun.
Because I'd say the same thing. And especially given the career I went on to have, people are like, oh, you have to be an extrovert. And I'm like, no, I'm
No.
an introvert
Yeah.
because I spend my day working, then I go home and curl up in a corner and don't want to talk to anyone and
Yeah.
all of that. So that's funny. I mean, yet another way in which I think we're a lot alike. Um, let's see now. Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Did you have any idea what your future would look like back then?
You mean my career?
We'll go with career. Like when you were growing up, what did you think you'd wind up doing?
For as long as I can remember, I always, and okay, I have to say, some people might say I'm demeaning my career choice, but I kind of always wanted to be a secretary, or in today's terms, an administrative assistant.
Mm-hmm.
That's the classes I took in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I did not go to college out of high school. I immediately went to work for the state of Ohio,
Oh wow.
and I loved my work.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that I was good at my job.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes it nice is I feel for the most part I've always been valued
Mm-hmm.
in my job.
Oh.
So yeah, from early on, that especially in high school, that's what my career goal was,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I did.
Well, anyone who thinks administrative assistants are whatever, try running a company without
Right,
one.
right.
I mean, it's just impossible. And I'm not really a detail person, and I just assume you are a detail person. When I think about your career
Mm-hmm.
choice and when we get into looking at your crafts, it's mind-boggling. So I think that really played well into your strengths,
Yeah.
being
Yep.
detail oriented. I know, and I was always so jealous of how much your boss just really appreciated you.
Yeah, I
I,
was very fortunate
yeah,
in the people that I worked for and with.
yeah, yeah. So you said that you enjoyed being an administrative assistant. And I feel as though so many of your skills apply to the crafts too, but like, was there anything new that you learned in your career that either benefits you more now or benefits you more working in the crafts?
Um, no, no, I don't think so. It's just, first of all, take your time in whatever you
Mm.
do.
Mm.
Nothing comes easy first time around,
Mm.
and
I
it's
like that.
okay to make mistakes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, in the workforce, I say just own up to them instead of trying to sweep them under the rug or blame someone else, because I made my fair share of mistakes. But like with anything, the more you do something, the more proficient you become at it.
Hmm.
So, um, my initial jobs were very basic, standard secretarial type jobs.
Hmm.
In high school, I worked for a lawyer
Oh,
because I did one of those. I went to school half a day and I worked half a day. And I worked for a lawyer before computers, so
ugh.
typing 10 copies with carbon paper, the whole shebang.
Uh,
Um, but my first full time job was with the Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the
wow.
state of Ohio. Um, and I learned a lot there. Computers were just coming in. Um, and anyways, yeah, I just advanced, but like you said, the majority of my work was with the hospital.
Hmm.
And so I was there for 30 years.
It is funny to think about. We started our careers before computers.
Yeah.
And I remember when I went into my first job where like everything was done on the computer and I was typing into it and there was a mistake on the screen and I looked at my whiteout and I was like, I couldn't figure out how you use whiteout on the screen. And to this day that cracks me up to no end because it was that you know mind-blowing moment of, oh wow, we
Yeah.
do this entirely differently now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did your workplaces like send you to computer training or
Um, actually, I have to backtrack. So when I worked for the lawyer, computers were not.
Ugh.
That was 1976. And um, then when I went to work for the state, computers were still not in.
Wow.
I became a stay-at-home mom for 4 years when my daughter was born. And then when I chose to return to the workforce, in that time I was gone, that's when computers came back in. So I did actually take computer classes at a vocational school
Mhm.
before I returned to work. So I had some of the knowledge
Oh,
that
brilliant.
we need. And it was still quite the learning process on the job. So, yeah. And with time, I've gotten pretty decent at computers now. My children would tell you I have no skills. The people that I work with, they thought I was awesome, and they would come to me to fix their computer problems. Um, so it's
Oh,
perspective. What?
yeah, yeah. And then our grandchildren. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. One other skill that I wonder if just became you became more comfortable with, and only because I did, was just interacting with a lot of different types of people. And in my jobs, I had to work with everyone of every employment level, of every income level, that sort of thing. And that was really good for me to learn. People are people.
Right, right. Um, I think I always maintained that I was the administrative assistant and the bosses were the bosses.
Ah,
And so I felt like I always had to keep my place and know the hierarchy in the workplace.
no, good point. Yeah.
And my job at workers' compensation, my boss was in charge of the entire state of Ohio. So we had directors all across the state. And I worked with them and I did find people are people.
Mm.
And while I may have felt that I was beneath them, I don't think they ever treated me that way. Um, I think that might have been part of my upbringing. My parents' friends were adults. In
Hmm.
our day, it
Hmm.
was always Mr. and Mrs.
Absolutely.
I still call my parents' friends Mr. and Mrs. But that I have worked with a lot of different people. And in the hospital, it was not only administrative folks, but the staff, the nurses, other administrative assistants, and when I know what I'm talking about, I'm totally comfortable
Uh-huh. Oh,
being around them and having discussions.
yeah, yeah, as is undoubtedly true for everyone. Well, what you're doing now is utterly amazing. So let's definitely get into the start, the origins of what you're doing now. So when you were working, did you have much time for the crafting, or was that like even like after the kids left or anything, or by the time you got home, were you just like, I'm done?
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
I mean, we had households to
Oh,
maintain, yards, you had errands that had to be run, and when you're working full time,
yeah,
you didn't have a lot of time.
yeah.
And in retrospect, I don't even think we had enough time for our friends
Oh, yeah,
and
I would
nurturing
agree.
friendships.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
that's one of the things in retirement that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, and it is fun to reconnect and just pick up wherever on
Hmm.
earth we left off.
Right,
It's
right.
wonderful. So not so much crafting through the years, but I'm just gonna ask, what's your favorite craft?
Um, oh, that's a hard question because I don't have just one. I would say my initial crafting when I was still working was with one of those home party companies, and I sold supplies to make cards, basically. Your stamps, rubber stamps, inks, cardstock, embellishments. So that was probably my first serious money involved craft. Um, and I did party, so I made money. Not a lot because I spent way more than I made. And that craft or activity kind of then led into scrapbooking. And back in the day, in the 90s, that was a very big thing.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of shifted from the stamping company to scrapbooking
Yeah.
company.
Mm.
Again, same thing, had parties, you sold your product. I had a couple friends that were my best customers. um, so then I started on the scrapbooking.
Uh-huh.
From there, those were probably the last crafts I really did seriously until I retired.
Uh-huh.
And when I retired, I got a Cricut machine, which is a paper cutting machine. And I was so intimidated. It took me a long time to even try it. Um, and that once I started to get into that, I kind of upgraded my machine.
Mm.
And our mutual friend Terry, she had a Cricut also. So we took an online home class. She would bring her things over, and once a week, we'd watch the class separately,
Uh-huh.
but and doing our own thing.
That I don't know how to do it any other way.
Oh, when I learned how to ski, that was the same way. You know what? It's okay to take a lesson. It's okay to do some official educating of yourself,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
So I started doing the paper crafts, and then I went to, oh, I had to write these down because when you asked me to bring some things over and I started going through my basement, I'm like, daggone, I have done a lot of crafts. Um, some more lucrative, none were ever lucrative, but I started to paint.
Oh,
And that was my first on my own type of venture where I saw an online class through Facebook. This person was doing a $10 learn how to paint class, and she paints door hangers. So I thought, $10, okay. So over the course of 5 nights, she taught us how to paint a door hanger with a template and tracing your image onto a piece of wood and painting. And the first one I did, I'm like, this is okay. It's just kind of simple and plain. But as we went on through her classes, you become more proficient and
I,
things start to look a little more professional. And so I started buying the paints. I started buying what they call wood blanks, the things that you're going to paint on. And I loved it. I saw myself improve and I thought, I'm going to show others how to do this. And so I would have paint parties in my house. And I don't want people to feel forced to do exactly what I do. So I always encourage them, you can do it like this, or you can totally go off in your own direction.
mm-hmm.
And some followed my very strict guidelines, and others were very creative on their own, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a couple craft fairs, had my door hangers, um, and I sold what I would consider several. I was very pleased. Again, a lot of the people that came to that first were friends, and
Well, that's how everything
yeah,
starts.
they bought some. Um, I invested a lot of money in paints and
Mm-hmm.
brushes and wood.
Mm-hmm.
And my next couple craft fairs were not
Mm.
as lucrative. And my goal was always to at least make back the money
Yes,
that it cost me to be in there.
exactly.
And it got to the point where that wasn't happening.
Mm.
So then my children got me an online subscription, a year membership to someone who made crepe paper flowers.
Ah,
And I thought, okay, this is different. Again, got into it, was so impressed with some of the things that I had made.
uh-huh.
Bought a lot of crepe paper and frosted paper. And some friends that saw some of my flowers, they wanted me to teach their friends. So again, I did some home classes showing we did tulips and we've done
Roses.
I did the roses. What? I can't even remember the name. These flowers that have huge blooms in the summer.
Was it the
Um,
hydrangea? No?
no,
Okay.
they're bulky flowers. I can't remember. And I know that when you grow them, they have ants in them.
Peonies.
Peonies, yes. So I did teach a class on the peonies. Um, and from there, let's see.
Well, wait. So
Yeah.
all this so far, is this after you retired?
Oh, yeah. All
Oh,
of
okay.
this is after I retired because beforehand, the only thing I did beforehand was the scrapbooking and the card making.
Oh,
And
okay.
so you retire, you have a lot more
Time.
time.
Yeah.
Um, and then at some point, and I don't know where I came across this, a craft called diamond dots, which you take these um, little plastic clear beads and you stick them onto an image to make my first ones were whole pictures that were really big, very overwhelming. Then I started doing these on cards or coasters, very manageable, loved it. I taught my sister how to do this. She loved it. She went back and showed her bunco group how to do diamond dots. And now her bunco group in Florida has a separate night where they all get together to do diamond dots.
Oh my gosh.
I showed some other friends that I'm in a book club with how to do it, and we made bookmarks.
Oh my gosh.
And they took those and did those projects with family over the holidays because they're easy projects.
Oh my gosh.
Um, what else did I
Well,
learn how to
keep
do?
going. So, because this is a lot. What year did you really retire?
I retired in 2020.
You did
And
because of COVID?
no.
Okay.
And to go back, I know you were wondering, or you asked the question, were you anxious? Were you looking forward to it?
That's the second question.
Oh, that
Anything.
okay.
No, keep going. We're right
So,
on track.
so my retirement situation did a couple different things or took a couple different turns. When I started working at the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
I was 30 years old.
Mm.
And I knew I put in 30 years and I'll be 60. And that's when I'm going to retire. I'm going to give my 30 years. And so I kind of knew when I would retire. And at the time, my boss, we were both kind of scheduled to retire at the same time. And she's like, Sue, we need to retire at the same time and we can have a joint retirement party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, maybe I'll stay an extra year or two.
Oh.
Well, she ended up leaving for a couple different reasons beforehand.
Oh.
And it was kind of strange because honestly, I don't think anyone at the hospital knew what I was doing. I knew I had a job and I did my job. And, but it was weird because I didn't really have a boss.
Oh my gosh.
And so it made that retirement date that I had chosen years before even more solid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then, prior to 2020, the Christmas in 2019, you're aware of
Mm.
this. I have a sister. She's an epileptic. She lives on her own, but she's had a variety of mental health issues and other physical issues.
Mm.
And my dad was always there for her.
Yes.
And this particular situation became pretty intense, and she ended up in the hospital for a few weeks. We didn't know if she would ever fully recover.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was spending a lot of time. Thank goodness I had a lot of sick leave available to me.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And then we got her through that hump. And then in March of 2020, right
Mm-hmm.
before COVID hit, my dad ended up in the hospital for a couple different issues. And as I'm going to visit him every day in the hospital, that's when we would see the governor on the TV every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still able to see my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had one surgery. Then we knew he was going to have a second surgery.
Mm.
And by the time the second surgery came, we're not allowed to visit in the hospital anymore.
Oh.
And so we knew my dad would need care when he got home. And
Uh-huh.
my siblings, we decided that we weren't going to put him in a nursing home,
Right.
that I would go and stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, we thought, I'll go, but I'll be able to kind of come and
Mm-hmm.
go, so I wouldn't
He
be
lived
there.
close,
He
relatively
did. He
close.
did
Yeah.
live close.
Mm-hmm.
And up until then, I mean, my dad was 91.
Yeah.
And up until then, he was very self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
We were starting to see some signs of dementia.
Mm-hmm.
I bring him home from the hospital, and I get a call from the health department that my dad had been exposed to COVID while he
Oh.
was in the hospital. So we were
Oh.
going to have to quarantine.
I remember that.
Yeah,
You quarantined with him.
yes,
Yes.
I had no choice.
Yeah.
So no one could come and visit me. We couldn't go out. He came home on a Monday, and on Thursday he feels he's having anxiety attacks because he's having a hard time breathing.
Oh.
And I knew what it was. We had tried to explain what COVID was, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he kind of got it.
Oh.
And when I said, I need to call the squad, Dad,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no, what can they do for me? We've been quarantining. I said, because I had told him I thought he had COVID. And I said, they can give you oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a very long, loud conversation with my dad to
Mm.
get him to agree. And the squad came. And again, COVID was at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So everything
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah.
The ambulance people came in full hazmat gear. The neighbors were all standing on the corners watching what was going on. My dad is claustrophobic, so when they put a mask on
Oh.
him, that was very agitating to him.
Oh.
So they take my dad away.
Oh.
So in that first 4 days that we were home, he became very needy, and I had
Yeah.
maybe 8 hours of sleep total. So
Oh.
I was not doing too well. And I shed a lot of tears
Yeah.
after he left. And
Yeah.
then, and again, I'm still by myself. No
Yeah.
one can come in. On Friday, I start coughing and I have a fever.
Oh, yes.
And so I called my friend who's a nurse at the hospital, and I said, I think I should go in and get checked. And she's like, well, you need to make sure you're safe. Don't hesitate to call if you get bad. So I decided to
Yeah.
just drive myself to the hospital. I didn't even tell anybody I was going. I called the health department and told them,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, well, when you get to the hospital, they'll probably do a chest x-ray. And at that time, that's when they were sticking those Q-tips, way up high.
Into your brain.
Yep. And they did that to me, but they did not take any x-rays. They sent me home, and I got a call, and I had COVID.
Mm.
The good thing is my symptoms did not last long, and they were not severe,
Mm-hmm.
but I still had to self-quarantine by myself. On Tuesday, this is probably more than you want to know. On Tuesday,
Everyone listening has lived through this, and I think we enjoy each other's stories.
I get a call at, I think it was the middle of the night, from the hospital. And they said my dad had coded, and did I want them to stop compressions? And I said yes.
Yeah.
As I'm talking to the doctor, my dad comes back.
Oh my gosh.
And also, my dad, again, was 91. He was, shrinking. He was just a little old man at this point, and all I could see was them pounding on his chest.
Yes.
And so he came back, and what do I know? I assumed that, well, they had to put him on a vent.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, they told me that they didn't see any brain activity. So they were going to take him off the vent.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, I can't go visit my dad in the
Mm-mm.
hospital. No one can be there.
Mm-mm.
That was probably one of the hardest
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought when they took him off the vent, I'd get a call in, 20 minutes, he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
No, my dad hung on for about a day and a
Oh
half.
my gosh.
And so that whole time was so stressful
Yeah.
to me. Um, and my dad passed away on April 1,
Oh wow.
and we couldn't have a funeral.
No.
And I was the one in town, so I had to take care of all of his
Mm-hmm.
condo, his vehicle, all of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. And again, thank goodness I was so lucky to have the the sick leave to be able
Mm-hmm.
to take time off.
Mm-hmm.
But
You were still working at that
I was
point.
still working. And so this was April. I knew I was gone in the middle of June from my job.
Mm-hmm.
But and in addition to my sister and losing my dad, I'd lost my older brother and sister in a span of 2 years. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I lost my oldest sister, Donna, after an illness in
Mm-hmm.
2016.
Yeah.
My brother was killed in a car accident in 2017. And then I lost my dad in 2020.
And your mom?
My mom passed away in
Oh
2012.
my gosh, that long ago.
And the thing with my brother and my sister, my oldest sister was 65 and had retired maybe 6 months before
Yeah.
that, and she died.
Yeah.
My brother's first Social Security check was in the mail when he was killed in a car accident,
Oh,
and he was 65. So to me, there was no way I was waiting till 65 when a lot of people think about retiring. I could retire at 60, and so that's what I did.
mm-hmm.
And um, I felt there were things I wanted to do, and
Mm-hmm.
I had this in my mind that I wouldn't make it past 65.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 66 now, so
And you
so
will
we
be
yeah,
67.
yes, I will be 67.
Yeah.
So that my years up to retirement, there were lots of things that made retirement even more important to me.
Yeah.
To just take that step.
You know,
So
and it's funny because there are phases of retirement and there's the pre-retirement planning for it, which fortunately you had done, almost 30 years ago.
yeah.
You knew your end date, you knew what you were doing, but then there's kind of like the big day, but you just had so much going on and
Yeah.
so much that had happened
Right.
that I mean, was it a relief when you finally didn't even have to think about work anymore?
It was a relief, but again, there was still so much going on. I was actually able to take care of all of my dad's stuff over the course of 3 or 4 months, which people said is unheard of to get it taken care of that quickly.
It is.
I just couldn't, well, it was my dad didn't have a lot, but there were still things to be taken
And
care of.
probably had organized. I mean, he was
Yes.
a professional. He took care
Well,
of the family.
right when my brother died, he was living with my dad, and
Yes, yes,
and that I think gave my dad extra years because
yes,
he was the only son,
yeah,
and my dad loved him to death.
yeah.
But when Eddie died, there had been no pre-planning on his part. And my dad couldn't take care of it.
Mm-mm.
My youngest sister lives in Florida. My sister that's local, she's just not capable of taking care
Right.
of any of that.
Yeah,
So it was really hard dealing with and taking care of my brother's stuff.
yeah.
So after he died, my dad saw what I went through. So we redid his trust account.
Mhm.
And, it's funny because my mom and dad had done this trust years and years before. And it must have been one of these fly by night yahoos going door to door. And several
I
of my
doubt it.
parents' friends signed up and have this nice, lovely notebook for their trust. But that trust was created when my mom was alive, my brother was alive, my sister was alive. And so I'm like, Dad, we need to update this, get those
Absolutely.
names off of there
Yeah,
and reconfigure.
yeah,
And the lawyer we went to was a elder care lawyer,
yeah.
and he said that trust was not worth the paper.
Changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we redid
Oh
everything,
my gosh.
and that was a godsend. So
Yeah.
that's my one of my pieces of advice to anybody in their
Yes.
retirement years,
Yeah.
make it easy on your children
Oh my gosh.
because it's hard.
Mhm.
It's really hard.
Mhm.
But after my dad passed away, got him taken care of, I retired.
Mhm.
We decided to sell our home
Yeah.
that we had been in for 30 years.
Because there wasn't enough going on.
And we bought our next house first before we sold our old house. And the house,
I realize that.
oh yeah, because we did major remodeling on the new house.
She's completely redone.
Right. So we were traveling, 35 minutes from one house to the other house, sometimes multiple times a day. My husband was fixing up the new house, changing the floor plan. And then once we got that move-in ready, we sold the old house.
Oh.
And you know how much stuff you accumulated for 30 years. So there was all that.
Steve he had shuttered his business by then, right? Or
Oh,
was
yes,
he still
yes.
Okay.
No, Steve retired a year or two before I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that first year of retirement was getting the new house ready and moved in. And then after we moved in, 4 months later, we put on a room addition and built a barn. And one of our dreams in retirement was to RV.
I know.
So we bought a very nice, lovely, large RV that fit in the new barn.
Yeah, you could live in it.
But, oh yeah, we could. But RVing was expensive.
Amazingly.
And everyone was camping at that point.
It was still COVID.
And camping spots, first of all, if you could get in a state park, you were lucky because they were all booked up. So you go to the nicer campgrounds and you could pay the same price to go into a hotel.
Oh, yeah.
But to drive this RV at 5 miles to the gallon and so that joy only lasted a couple years and we sold the RV. But so now I spend a lot of time crafting.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Reinventing Retirement. I hope today's journey has sparked some ideas for your own next chapter, whether that's exploring a long-held passion, picking up a new skill, or simply reimagining what this stage of life can look like. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And if you know someone who could use a little inspiration on their own retirement journey, share this podcast with them. Until next time, here's to creating a retirement that's not an ending, but a reinvention.